Today we're talking about probably the thing that worries all of you the most. Where do you find the money to actually get these businesses up and off the ground and make sure that they're sustainable at least through the first year? Well, you know what? As always, we have answers for you here on Bridges, and we have two experts in the area. We have Teresa Smith from the Toledo-Lucas County Port Authority. Teresa is the Business Development Manager. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks,
Good,
Johnny.
good. And Pam Rogers, who is the Relationship Manager. I thought that was a really interesting title. I might have you on my How to Get a Date show.
There you go. Thank you.
Pam
Glad to
Rogers
be
from
here.
ECDI, which is actually Economic and Community Development Institute.
That's
is that
correct.
right?
That's
okay.
right.
Let's take a look at some of the things that we've learned over the past several weeks. We have learned that when you are, there you go. Thank you, Brian. We have learned that before you start hanging out that shingle, so to speak, you really need to know your product. Know what it is you want to do. Have a clear focus on what makes you happy. What would make you happy in business? Not just, oh, geez, I always wanted to have my own business. Knowledge is king. Understand the finances. Understand the operations of the business. Know who your audience is, all of those things, hard work, realistic expectations. You got to understand that some things just are not going to happen. You might not get to be Oprah overnight, but if you keep trudging right away, you might get there sooner than you think. Networking is critical. Got to get out of that little box, got to get into the community, got to get to know people, got to get to know your target population. All of those things are absolutely critical. And finally, don't be afraid to ask for help. We've spent the past several weeks introducing you to resources in this community. They're out there for you. It's not a big deal. Everybody makes missteps. If you need help, ask for it. You will be glad you did. Don't wait until it's too late to do that. Okay, today we're talking about where those dollars come from, how to capture those Benjamins. That's what we're talking about this morning. So what's the primary difficulty that people who are looking for funding for their small businesses run into when securing that funding?
Well, I think initially small businesses run into a problem because they don't always understand that their personal credit becomes their business credit as a small business owner. And a lot of times small business owners self-finance initially, and they use their own personal credit, they use their own personal finances and their own resources to start their business and grow their business. And what we see oftentimes is that they'll run into problems managing the financial piece just because they're undercapitalized. And so that's typically where I see, and if I'm wrong, correct me,
No,
but that's,
you're right. You're
that's
completely
where
right.
I see it. And when they come to us looking for financing to grow and expand their business, the first question is, well, how's your personal credit? And their response usually is, well, what's my personal credit got to do with this? This is my business.
Right.
And so from an information standpoint, as a new business starting, I think a very critical component is understanding that your personal credit is the business credit initially, and it's going to be critical for your access to resources as you go forward, that you properly manage your personal credit in the early stages.
Do lenders look at your personal credit the same way like Discover Card might look at your personal credit? Or are there different elements that go into analyzing your bankability because of your personal credit? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
A lender will look at the credit score. They'll look at the viability of the business. And if there's any stop signs or anything that slows that deal down, it's not going to be bankable initially.
Stop signs are what kind of
So a
things?
lower credit score, a higher debt ratio, because as Teresa said, they're self-financing, so they may have maxed out all their credit cards just trying to get started. So that's why we want folks to know that we're here to help you get started so you don't have to use your own funds.
So you would say before you start to self-finance, call somebody.
Sure, get that help that you mentioned before. Come and talk to one of us. Sit down, we'll help you either get to a place to write a business plan so you can get your targeted idea on track, or if you're already there, then we can start the process to getting you the funds that you need so you don't have to run up your credit cards. You protect your own finances and let us help you with some of the finances that we have.
Let's start with you. Your business is microlending.
Correct.
Okay, would you explain to folks what that is?
Sure. We're the 7th largest microlender in the country. We started in 2004, and what we do is we provide a range of funds for either startup business or an existing business of say 18 months or longer that want to expand and grow. Our goal is to add jobs to the market, help our marketplace become more viable and bring people into Toledo or Northwest Ohio, because we cover the entire state actually, and just get people more excited about jobs and creative new ideas. So we can lend a minimum of $500 up to $350,000.
Really?
So yeah, and basically what we're doing is startups. You've got a good idea, let's get started. Or those folks that aren't bankable right now because of some of the minor issues that they run into, we'll get them ready to go back to a bank.
It's important for folks to know, though, that this is not a grant from
Correct.
you. This is
Correct.
a loan from you.
Right.
Interest charges apply to this loan?
Sure.
What's your range on
We
the interest
range,
charges?
you know, we're a little bit higher than banks, but not dramatically. We range from 5.75 to 12, depending on the factors of the loan, which are the collateral, the ability to repay. So yeah, we're going to ask you, how are you going to pay this back? So that's very important that they understand that there is a repayment.
So your loans are collateralized as well?
Yes, our loans are collateralized as well. With exception, well, yeah, they're collateralized as well. And, you know, one of the things I was thinking about, Donnie, that's really important to identify with her program is that they're able to do startup businesses. That's new to our community. Banks historically have not done a lot of startup businesses, and that's been a complaint of a lot of business owners that come to us, is that they couldn't get bank financing because banks really wanted to see a 2, 3, 4 year strong track record before they were willing to lend. And so the fact that we now have a resource in our community that provides startup businesses funding is very critical, and it's very unique. Not every community has that, so I think that's a really important distinction to talk about, because historically it hasn't been in our community.
I've been in banking this town for quite a while, and always customer facing and love every minute of it, but it became a little frustrating, especially over the last 5 to 7 years, when somebody came into say a branch office and said, I've got this idea, it's a great idea, and they're so excited, and we have to say, oh, stop right there,
Yeah,
we can't
can't
help
do
you.
it.
But now we've got, and that's why I left the banking industry when I saw this was coming to our market, just to be able to provide that extra oomph to our city and our area with startup money.
You know, it's such a catch-22. The whole world is talking about the saving grace of this economy being the startup of small businesses and the proliferation of small businesses. Yet they seem to be so tough to actually get on the ground. So you guys also, and I want to talk about some of the things, because the port has an amazing array of services that they provide that augment your services,
Sure.
Pam, and
We work
others
hand
in the
in hand.
community. Yeah, which is so great. That's one of the things I found in doing this series, is that the community is pretty small when it comes to folks who are supporting small businesses. And you all know each other, and you're all working in concert, which is great for that small business person who wants to get out there. It's not so hard to work the system, in other words, understand the system.
Sure.
But what kinds of businesses do you discourage? Do you discourage business ideas that, if I wanted to start a grocery store?
Oh, not at all. We don't discourage many. They have to be legal. We'll start with that.
That's good to know.
Yes, they have to be legal.
No houses of ill repute.
Well, not at this particular time, but yes. We won't do gambling, so that's something that we shy away from. But anything else that has a strong business plan, we look for projections for 24 months. We want to know that you've sat down and thought about where are you going? Where are you going to take this?
That knowledge is king thing.
Sure,
there,
sure. So we work a lot with the SBDC and Bill Wursel and his crew down at the chamber. They provide a lot of our initial training with folks that have that great idea, but they just need to narrow it down, get that business plan together. I sit in with him, he sits in with his folks, sit in with me on initial meetings, and we all bring everything together where then we can start the financing process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it a long process? That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not a lay down. I mean, there's paperwork. We work with the SBA quite a bit for our funding, so they have proper certain documents that they require. But we'll work with you. We will hold your hand. We will sit with you. We will make sure that all the documents are in. Once they are in, then we're looking at about a 4 to 8 week process at the back end.
You know, everybody that's been on this month in this series of shows has said the same thing that you're saying. It is a process. It is not,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a plumber, I'm going to hang out my sign
That's
and
right.
get that done.
That's
it
right.
really is a process. We have just a couple seconds left, minutes left in this first segment. What's your most popular financing program for small
I
businesses?
think
Teresa?
right now the most popular program we have is the SBA 504 program, which is a bank-supported loan. So we partner with a local bank, and the best thing about that one, I think, is that it's a low owner equity requirement. It's a 10% owner equity. So the owner brings 10%, the bank does 50%, and then the SBA guarantees a 40% on the back part.
So the owner brings 10% of the total ask?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes. 10% of the total project amount is their money, which if you look at conventional financing, they're significantly higher than that when you're looking at the down payment requirements for the owner equity. And that's one of the other barriers that we see, is that you got to have a certain amount of cash to get into the deal.
Skin in the game.
Skin in the
Skin in
game,
the
as
game,
we call
absolutely,
it. So yeah, that's
absolutely.
right now that's our most popular program that we have going.
Okay, I want to ask a few more questions about that when we come back from the break,
Excellent.
okay?
Perfect.
Okay, don't forget where we are, because
I
I
won't.
will.
I
Okay.
got it.
All right, we got to go away for just a moment, but I promise you we will be right back. Please stay with us.